Ever since, I'd say, the release of Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time, fans have naturally been wondering about a potential direct new sequel to Spyro 3 Year of the Dragon. Hey everyone, it's me Vivi and welcome. Seeing as how both these IPs were handled by Toys for Bob, it was only a matter of time before the following question would arise. Where is Spyro 4? Yes, we do have a certain number 4 in the Spyro series, Enter the Dragonfly, but for the sake of clarity, Spyro 4 in this case would follow the same concept of sequel, Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time. A game? A brand new game, which follows the previous number 3. Asking about Spyro 4 is one thing, but at the end of the day, we all have to realize that nothing's been confirmed. All this hope for Spyro 4 is just that, hope. Fans hope Spyro gets a brand new game, as a matter of fact. Lately, Spyro has been mainly prioritized as a guest character within the Crash series. First was Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. Spyro wound up as a brand new character to the roster. And then we have Crash Team Rumble. Not only did we get Spyro-themed maps, but Allura, Ripto, and Spyro all joined the roster, and not to mention some comics. Some short digital comics. New characters in Crash Team Rumble always start off as early access. A point comes when they get released officially. If there's anything to gather from this, there's at least some acknowledgement at the end of the day. Although this isn't a new Spyro game, he's at least still in the limelight in some form. If Spyro didn't feel like an important character, would the devs really spend their time and resources bringing Spyro to Crash Team Rumble? One thing we're confident in, just because we don't have news on a potential Spyro 4, doesn't mean that we don't have a passionate group of people out there. All it comes down to is the green light. Whoever owns the IP you're passionate about, they ultimately make the decision whether or not to continue with a certain franchise. In this current time period, a sequel to Year of the Dragon falls in the realm of complete mystery and uncertainty. A couple of years ago, perhaps we believed there was light at the end of the tunnel. Spyro Easter eggs in Crash 4 It's About Time, Spyro's inclusion in Nitro Fueled, and not to mention blatantly having Spyro 4 hidden in the official art book of Crash 4 It's About Time. During that time, considering how Toys for Bob was involved in all of these games, we hoped Spyro would get the same treatment as Crash eventually. Here we are in 2024 and fans are still probably wondering. There's another reason why some folks had been anticipating Spyro 4, and that has to do with Xbox's Phil Spencer. Before Microsoft acquired Activision, Spencer back in January 2022 was interviewed by the Washington Post and seemed to have been wanting to re-explore old Activision franchises. We're hoping that we'll be able to work with them when the deal closes to make sure we have resources to work on franchises that I love from my childhood and that the teams really want to get. Spyro the Dragon first launched on PlayStation back on September 9th, 1998. If we look back at 2023, we entered the 25th anniversary of the series. Naturally, a series reaching such a point would make fans curious. Some might think, hey, it's the 25th anniversary. If Crash can get a sequel to its third game, so can Spyro. Especially considering how passionate Toys for Bob is about Spyro. Speaking of which, no, the series didn't get any announcements surrounding new games. Instead, we had a few articles commemorating the series. We had a PlayStation blog post featuring folks from Insomnia Games, the original creative minds behind Spyro the Dragon. Within this same blog post, we had Toys for Bob's Paul Yen, head of the studio, going over the foundation of this series. On that same day, he also got featured in another interview, this time from Screen Rant, acknowledging Spyro Community Day. For those not too familiar with that, Spyro Community Day is a yearly, fan-driven special day commemorating the series' anniversary. Community Day at a point gained traction enough to capture the attention of Toys for Bob. Paul Yan, being fully aware of the passion and love the community has for this series, he added, "It's inspired a lot of conversation and discussion about what might come next, and that's all exciting to me. I think the Community Day and this 10 million units shows that there's great demand, and on behalf of Toys for Bob, we love Spyro. Beyond that, I don't think we can say much more. Stuff like this, I mean, it sounds absolutely fantastic to hear. The series selling 10 million copies, the studio sharing their love for this IP. That is great, but this is also where some folks might fall into the same trap. One has to always be careful when thinking about the future of whichever IP they are passionate about. Even if a studio shares their love for a series, even if they make it sound like they're under NDA, nothing is set in stone. The future always remains uncertain. Anything can happen. Anything can change. If a sequel happens, it happens. But trying to look for hints where there aren't any, hyping ourselves up to a degree where we end up disappointed if a sequel doesn't happen, that's where we have to be careful. Yes, we are currently in the Year of the Dragon, which comes every 12 years. Yes, we have a trophy in Spyro 3 called Party Like It's 2024, but I don't think those should be taken as clues or hints. The future of Spyro, as we speak, remains even more uncertain. No one knows what's planned for this little guy, and here's why. Let's fast forward to October 2023, the 13th of October to be exact. We finally enter the completion of Microsoft's acquisition of Activision. This was quite a long road with a bunch of hurdles left and right, but it finally happened on that day. Same month, the 18th to be exact. During an Xbox podcast, Phil Spencer reiterated, if teams want to go back and revisit some of the things that we have and do a full focus on it, I'm going to be all in on that. With Spyro's 25th anniversary being a month ago during that time, fans still might have hoped for a new game, especially considering Phil Spencer's words. Applying his mindset with the knowledge of a passionate team such as Toys for Bob, some might have had hope, perhaps high hopes, for Spyro 4. But like stated before, the future remains unclear. Anything can change, especially when considering a massive acquisition such as this one. Unfortunately, with such an acquisition came a bunch of layoffs. News got out about layoffs, and that was on January 25th, 2024, 1,900 out of 22,000 workers from the game workforce were let go. Phil Spencer, stating that 3 months had passed after the acquisition, continued by saying they're committed to aligning on a strategy and an execution plan with a sustainable cost structure that will support the whole of our growing business. Together, we've set priorities, identified areas of overlap, and ensured that we're all aligned on the best opportunities for growth. Such a move might get someone questioning not only the fate of Spyro the Dragon, but Crash Bandicoot as well. The ones at Toys for Bob working on Crash Team Rumble were already a very small team to begin with. For a while, we were aware that Toys for Bob was also helping on Call of Duty. With layoffs and an already small team working on Rumble, a lot of questions and mysteries start to float through the minds of the community. Does such a situation ultimately destroy the fate of Spyro or Crash even? Answer is, we don't know. We realistically have no idea what's in store for Spyro or Crash even moving forward, especially after such an unfortunate event. If a new game happens, then it happens. As much as Toys for Bob loves Spyro and Crash, a green light is not guaranteed. At the end of the day, we simply just don't have a simple yes or no. It's all a mystery at this point. On a lighter note, let's imagine Spyro 4. Why not? Biggest question in this case would be, what direction would they take? It's all a matter of what makes a Spyro game a Spyro game. As Paul Yan stated during the series' 25th anniversary, Spyro games are at their best when they build on a foundation of great movement controls in vast, colorful worlds full of charm and wonder, where Spyro is young, plucky, optimistic underdog, ready to take on any challenge that's hurled at him. If there's one thing I would love to see, I've probably said this in the past, I'd love to see more of the Elder Dragons being involved in the narrative. As always, looking at these fantastic designs, wouldn't it be awesome to have actual fully written scenes and more interactions with these dragons? And heck, I wouldn't even mind a full-on brand new villain. The Reignited version, if you ever realized, discarded the Spyro Situation with Riptail and Nasty in the epilogue. If they don't go with that for a Spyro 4, then like I just mentioned, a new villain altogether would be very interesting, especially with the feel of Reignited. An evil dragon, although probably cliché, would be cool too, to see, especially considering how good these Elder Dragons look. Would you imagine a Reignited version of Malefor, or something else entirely? How would you envision Spyro 4? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Like always, thank you to my patrons for directly supporting the channel. It means so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. And yeah, with that said, my name's Vivi, and until next time.